Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown, on a journey you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. A freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown, on a journey you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome
The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check.
2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the Rift Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the Mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
What is up, all you freaks out there? This is Ryan.
And this is Rhonda.
And this is the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show.
Yes, it is.
Glad you guys could make it. Tell you what, I was feeling rough this morning. I was feeling rough yesterday.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was. I almost called in a substitute for today, but asked Ashley if she was available, because I wasn't sure how I was going to be feeling, but she has got something going on tonight, so she wouldn't be able to make it anyway. So, but I am here, feeling good.
Good.
I've got my my tea here. It's the sleepy time tea, but it's like immunity type stuff for sinuses. So we'll see if that works. And I had to get myself feeling better because I couldn't miss the festivities of National Crouton Day.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, croutons are a necessity. Like,
They are.
salad is not a salad without a crouton.
I even ate a salad this morning and put croutons on the salad before I knew it was National Crouton Day. Ooh, hello from Sri Lanka. What's up, Kason? How are you? Hey, Michelle. How you doing? It is, it's weird. Something strange I found out today.
Okay.
Today is National Leprechaun Day. And you'd think that would be back on March 17th on St. Patrick's Day, but it's not. It is actually May 13th is St. Patrick's Day. Oh, no, not St. Patrick. No, National Leprechaun Day. So I found that weird. I found that to be rather strange. Who got Heidi from Boulder, Colorado coming out here, hanging out with us tonight.
And Lois and Michelle, Wilfo,
so exciting.
Jason, and
all of our friends hanging out with us tonight.
Angels Are Us, which is our friend Nikki. Hello, and welcome in.
I don't think I've seen Angels Are Us in this chat before. So welcome to the show. Happy Leprechaun Day.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I remember they had like National Football Day in like July or something.
But I guess that makes sense because St. Patrick's Day we're celebrating St. Patrick. So I mean,
True.
I can see where the leprechaun should get his own day.
Yeah, that just keeps the St. Patrick's Day party going from March all the way to May. To celebrate it all the 2 months between March and May. So. This is I found that to be interesting. We've already given out our hellos to the chat, so we don't need to worry about doing that. So why don't you go ahead and get into your reading here?
Okay, let me give it one more shuffle. All right, and cut the cards and see what we get. All right. Ooh. So we got the raccoon for this week, the inventor. Decide on what you really want. You have the ingenuity to claim it.
There we go.
Avoid being the trickster and practice integrity. You have many roles and can juggle them all. Well, that is kind of true. You know, raccoons are known to be very clever, but they're also known to be a little bit of tricksters and kind of, getting in your trash cans like a little bit of a nuisance. So when I look at this card, I think of a raccoon. You know what? I feel like kind of what it says, you have the integrity to claim it, decide on what you really want. I think it's about saying go after what you want, be wary and don't step on others along the way. Kind of like that old saying, it kind of brought me to like, don't burn bridges.
Mm-hmm.
So don't step on others on your way to the top. Don't burn any bridges. You can make everything you want to happen. So that's where I'm taking this one a little bit.
Well, guys, there you go.
Yep.
Now you know.
Now you know
what to do. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle, as they say on G.I. Joe. Yes. Well, that's great advice. That is great advice. So what's going on with you? Anything exciting happening in your life?
Let's see. I mean, today was crazy at work. Crazy. And then let's see what's going on this week. We've got an investigation Saturday night, like a private. So we can't really talk about where we're going to be, but we've got an investigation this weekend, so that's exciting. Getting primed and ready for Cabin Con.
Oh yes, it still kind of blows my mind that it's right around the corner.
Like
I helped Dennis put the sign up in the front yard the other night.
That looks so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I really hope a lot of people show up. I talked to Rihanna. She's planning on coming with her friends. I'm not sure which day she's going to be there, but you'll get to meet her, which is awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And May 30th through
June 1st.
June 1st. You know what's fun? The anniversary of the Battle of Bethesda Church is actually that weekend. That's Friday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was May 30th, 1864.
Wow.
That it happened. Yeah. I don't even know if Dennis even realized. He probably does.
He probably does.
Yeah.
He probably didn't schedule it because of that, but I bet he does something to honor that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask him about if he's going to say anything about it, or if he realizes
Yeah, that's
that's
cool.
what's
That's
going
cool.
on. But
That's don't you love it how like you plan something and you don't know that it's significant in some other way and you find that out later. Like I can't tell you how many times you'll plan a class or you'll plan an event and even it's like you'll find out it's the full moon that night. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that you do because that's when it works, but then it ends up being something else associated with it. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, I honestly just realized it like today. I was looking at it, it's like, oh, wait a second. Because I was thinking, because we usually, if it works out, we try to do something at the cabin on the anniversary of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do an investigation or something outside, see if we can get any kind of activity. So we'll do it on the Battle Bethesda Church, and we'll do it in October, the anniversary of Melissa's passing and stuff.
Yeah.
And oops, connection lost. Okay, hopefully it's reconnected. But we try to do something. So I was kind of like looking at it. It's like, wait a second, the battle is coming up. It's the same weekend as the Paracon. So that works out perfectly.
Good timing. Good timing.
Yeah.
Yep. As Jeannie said, all in alignment. Like it, how things flow.
And it's gonna be so many cool people there, and so many just if you're in the neighborhood and you happen to be watching this, and you happen to be in Mechanicsville in May, the end of May, you know, come on out. Sorry if my comments are wacky. I'm high. It's okay. It's all good.
Good for you. I wish I was.
You know, I wish I was high too. But if I was high right now, I'd be making you notice it.
It would have made the last few hours of work a lot more.
Oh my gosh, it'd be a lot more fun. But here I am drinking my melatonin immunity tea.
There you go. I'm drinking caffeine-free Diet Coke.
like the party animals that we are. Kasem,
party animals.
Have the fun for all of us.
That's right.
Tonight.
That's right.
So, the Freakin Awesome playlist.
Yeah.
That's where we go and we suggest songs for people. Howie's song is Boogie Land by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, cool.
Good song. My song is God Only Knows by the Beach Boys.
Ah, pulling out the Beach Boys, are you?
Yes, pulling out the Beach Boys. Oh, yeah.
And then mine is Fractured Love by Def Leppard.
Fractured Love. Mm-hmm. Not to be confused by Tainted Love.
Nope, it's fractured.
By Soft Cell.
It's fractured, not tainted.
Fractured Love. All right, so our guest is Mr. Rob G from Space Radio. He is the host of After Hours on Space Radio, which is their weekend show.
Yes.
I'm very excited to have them on because we're going to be talking about stuff we don't normally talk about on the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show. We're going to go up into space, going up into the cosmos, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and bring him on and ask him the Freakin Awesome question of the day. Let's see here.
Rob G.
There we go. And there we go. Okay, perfect. Hey, man, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great. Glad to be on the Totally Freakin Awesome podcast here tonight.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come on here and talk to us tonight.
Yeah.
So first off, we asked the Freakin Awesome question of the day, which is totally non-paranormal related. And the question is, what was your favorite sitcom growing up?
Ooh. I had a long list. Yeah, I'm an 80s baby, so that's when sitcoms were awesome. So let me just grab one. Let me see. I would go with. I'm a Cosby Show kid.
I love the Cosby Show.
Yeah,
especially when they would do all you'd watch at the beginning of the season to see what the different entrants would be, the different song they would dance to, and what they would be wearing and stuff. Always the same song.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Yep.
How about you?
Exactly.
I think there's two kind of for me that were my favorites. One I think was actually I was a little bit older. So when I was younger, it was Three's Company. And then when I got older, of course, and it's still like if it's on, I'm watching it, and that's the Golden Girls.
Oh yeah,
those are classics. Three's Company is kind of early 80s, and then Golden Girls is late 80s. So you have the kind of whole decade.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna actually go kind of your neck of the woods there, Rob. I'm gonna go for Alf.
Oh gosh,
This is
yeah.
my favorite sitcom
Ooh.
growing
That's a
up.
good one.
Yeah.
I started rewatching it
was-
on YouTube, and it's even more funny now that I'm growing up because I get the jokes more than when I was a kid.
True. I have to go back and watch some of that Alf stuff. Yeah, it was kind of that raw humor.
Yeah. It's one of those jokes that this kind of dry humor that you don't get as a kid, but when your parents are kind of laughing at it because they understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So, do you have a song you want to recommend for the playlist?
I was thinking as you guys were going over the list, I was like, what can I pick? One of the songs that I play that gets me going is Wanted Dead or Alive, Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
I love that song.
I throw that on and I turn that up. Ah man, that's how you get it started for me. So that'd be definitely a good one for me.
It's a good driving song.
It is. That's one of those when it comes on the radio, you turn the radio up. You just do. Even if you got it up, you turn it up just a little bit more.
And you sing.
Yeah.
You sing at the top of your lungs.
Yep, you sure do. Guilty.
I've done that. Or Blaze of Glory from Young Guns 2.
Yep.
That's another classic song you just want to sing at the top of your lungs.
You know, they're working on Young Guns 3, supposedly.
Really?
I heard about that.
Yep.
I wasn't sure if it was actually real or if it was one of those just rumor things.
No, Emilio Estevez watched them recently, and he said that it's pretty much in the works. They have all the locations scouted. He had an idea of the script and all that. So I'm like, okay, I'm with it.
God, that's a Young Guns 2. God, how long ago was that movie? Feels like it's 50 years ago. I know it's not that long, but that just feels like it's 50 years ago.
Well, that sounds like it might be good if one of the original people of it is the one scripting it, rather than some other writer trying to come in and script it. That should make it pretty good.
Yeah, they should know what the people want. And obviously it's not like a remake of it or just it's the same if it's the same characters.
Lou Diamond Phillips, supposed to be back, and a lot of the originals definitely.
That'd be awesome. Give me an excuse to watch them again.
Yeah, I bet they saw how good Top Gun did after so long, and they're like, "Hey, we can do that pretty soon."
And you haven't really seen Emilio in front of the camera in a while.
I was just sitting here
I'm sure he's been driving to get back in front of the camera.
I was gonna say, I was sitting here thinking, I can't remember the last time I did see him in something new. It's been a long time.
I think last time I saw him was when they did the remake of the Mighty Ducks on Disney Plus. I didn't watch it, but I knew he was in it. He was in that, but that was like 4 or 5 years ago. But I don't think, as far as movies are concerned, I haven't seen him in a while. So it definitely gives me something to look forward to.
Nope.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
I'm a movie buff, music. I'm a musician, so I'm fully into music. That's why my playlist is super expansive. I'm out there, man. I'm all around dude.
We should have Rob join us for the Freakin Awesome playlist one Sunday.
There we go. That'd be awesome.
I would love it.
That would be cool. Because we always pick a topic or a genre or something, and then you pick like 5 of your favorite songs that fit that. So that would be cool.
Oh yeah, I'm with that.
We did it.
Hit me up.
We do the show the second Sunday of the month, but it's like kind of before you do your show, I guess. Our show starts at 9, like the same time. And what time does your show start? Your time?
8 p.m. Pacific.
Which would be 11 for us. So
okay, so yeah, we're way ahead of that. So Yeah, but then we have every second Tuesday of every month, we each pick a topic. So my topic this next coming up is artists born in Virginia or from Virginia. We got to find music from
Hmm.
people born or from living in Virginia. So that's ours. And this past one was Rhonda's, and she picked the 1990s. She said pick 5 different songs from the 90s, 5 different genres. So country, rap, hip hop, rock, alternative, and make a playlist of those songs. So it's a fun little thing we do, and it really shows
Yeah.
our different tastes in music.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yep. That's me. I'm with it. Yeah. I'm open. So let me know when, and I'm there.
Perfect. What do you listen to now? What do you what do you have on your playlist right now?
Mm. I have all type of stuff. Truthfully, if you go into my Apple Music playlist, I've all genres of music. Yeah, yeah. I'm not locked down to one in particular. Like I said, I'm a musician. I appreciate live instruments. I live instrumentation.
Hmm.
I'll go watch a live band play, regardless of the genre, because I appreciate just the art of being able to play. It's a special thing.
Yeah.
Is there any particular type of music that you listen to that would surprise people? You think?
Hmm. I mean, I listen to classical music. I listen to rock and roll, country, rap, jazz, a lot of
Mm.
jazz, soul. It goes on and on. I don't know. I mean, it all seems
Mhm.
normal to me because I'm more of a as long as it's sonically pleasing to the ear, and that transcends genres and
Mhm.
languages. It could be something that is in another language, as long as it's sonically pleasing and appealing. You can feel the emotion in the music. So that's kind of how I base my song
So
selection.
you go more off sound more than lyrics when you listen to music?
Yeah, yeah,
That's me.
yeah,
It's me
yeah. Because
too.
it
That's how I am. And that's
Yeah.
how if it sounds good to me more than the actual words
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the song.
It's the sound and what emotions it draws out of me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's really
yeah,
is about how it makes you
exactly.
feel.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, yeah. I call music is the soundtrack to
Yeah.
life. Is the way I look at it, and yeah, it doesn't matter what part of the globe you're from. You could probably pick a good song from any part of the globe.
That's true, and I think a lot of people don't uh they don't take time to listen to parts music from other parts of the world.
Yep,
Open your mind up.
true. Yep, exactly.
What got you into this field, UFOs, and what brought you to the paranormal field, just where you are right now?
Man, truthfully, it's a wild story. Truthfully, it has nothing to do with the phenomena itself. It has nothing to do with it. You know, I've always grown up a fan of science fiction, watched a lot of movies, read books. Um, I've always been open to the possibility that there are things out there for sure. I just was not under the impression for most of my life that those things were here with us, happening here on Earth.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe they visited once or twice, but what really kind of drove me down this path is about 7, 8 years ago. You reach a point in your life. You have different stages in life where you ask a prolific question. It's probably every 7 years where you like recalibrate, reset. What am I doing? What could I do? What should I be doing? And I was at one of those moments in life. I was a fan of YouTube videos where they go to these abandoned buildings, and I was hooked on that sort of stuff. Area 51, visiting Area 51. I bought a camera Canon 80D DSLR camera. And I was like, okay, that's what you need. I got the tools. I'm like, okay, I have the tools. Now, what am I going to do with this? And there's so when you go into YouTube, as I'm sure both of you know, when you first sit down, you look at all of the different things that are happening on YouTube, and you're like, okay, what would I do well in, or what could I have fun doing? Um, I found that was the wrong question to ask because when you think that way, you immediately look at or you start going after the thing that's hot in the moment, right? You follow trends and things of that nature. So I was like, I didn't want to do that because I didn't feel like that was, my purpose. I didn't feel like that was my purpose. So I ended up sitting the camera in the closet for a while. Maybe 1 or 2 years later, I had this urge to want to do something to help humanity. I asked myself, so I was like, what could I do? What could I be doing that would help benefit humanity in some kind of way? And I'm just thinking and going down a list of things. One thing that popped up for me, one of the first things was like, you know what? I like kids. Let me go ahead and potentially, become a teacher and try to help shape the young minds of the world as they get ready to take on this new world. And I was like, that would be a cool thing to do. But then I really quickly came to the conclusion that, well, I don't know, because sometimes kids are bad, and I don't know if that's something I really want to deal with. So I kind of stepped back from that, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Instead of thinking of what I want to do, this is where it kind of gets a little religious. And I'm not a real super religious person, but I do have a Christian background. And so I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to throw my hands up. I'm going to allow God to take the wheels. One of the things that's, I don't know if you're religious or you have a background, if you've heard that term, but it's kind of just allowing yourself to be guided by the source, by our whoever our creator is. And there was it took me back to a Bible verse, and this is all I'm going to talk about the Bible. I'm not super religious, but when I was young, like 11 years old, I went to church with my grandmother, and they would break away for Bible study during the session. So it was time to go to Bible study. I had been asked the week prior by the Bible study teacher, not just me, the entire class, to come back in next week with the scripture. And I'm not good at that. I'm in church and the preacher's up there going through all these, and by the time I get to where he's looking at, he's moved on to something else. So I've never been good at keeping up with scriptures or anything, but my grandmother gave me one, and it was like Proverbs 3 verses 5 through 6 or 5 through 8, something like that. And it was like, trust the Lord with all thine heart, lean not into thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Now, for whatever reason, this is the scripture that came up in my mind when I'm trying to figure out what I want to do to positively affect humanity. So I said, let me let myself be guided. And then a lot of doors started opening up, one after the other, after the other. A few years passes. I was at a Walmart. I moved cities from Sacramento to where I'm currently at, which is in Bakersfield, California. And I'm at a Walmart one night, and there are usually people hanging out in the front of Walmart, giving pamphlets or wanting you to sign things. And I don't really like engaging with those people, right? So I parked by the front of the Walmart, and I'm like, okay, let me look around, make sure I don't have to engage with anyone. There was no one there. It's probably about 8 o'clock at night. And so I'm like, okay, let me beeline into the store. I get out the car, 20 feet to the door, between my car and the door. Before I could get to the door, two guys came in on me just like this, one from each side. And they were talking about their church and some, the message they were trying to deliver. And I told them, I was like, you know what? Normally I just go on about my business, but I'm going to listen because I looked around and I didn't see anyone there. And then here you guys are out of nowhere and you merged on me in this way. So I'm going to sit here and listen to what you have to say. So they gave their whole spiel and I said, okay, you know what? I'll come down to your church and visit for a day. And I go on about my business. I go into the store, run in there, grab the things that I'm going to get. As I'm leaving out the door, these same two guys are walking in the door and we walk right past each other like that and kind of look at each other and I'm like, wow. So from that moment forward, I didn't go to the church, but from that moment forward, there were what I call blessings, which are really like doors opening up, and they happen back to back to back to back. I mean, almost scary. It was scary because I had never experienced in my life that many doors opening consecutively. You would, some people call it luck. Um, I don't know, but I've never had that. It got to a point to where it was scary, and I told my girl, I'm like, hey, all these blessings or things that could have gone the wrong way that turned out right, very right, uh, keep happening, and it's scary. And one of those things was a door that opened up for me to do a show with a friend that I came to know, Roderick Martin from Why the Big Secret, Truth versus Authority. He has a big YouTube channel right now. But I kind of got let into his channel to help him out on some things. Ended up being like a co-host, sort of, and kind of moved from there. You know, we kind of had creative differences. I My mission is focused on humanity and what can we do to move the needle for humanity. His channel was going a different direction, so we parted ways, and I began my channel. And my channel is the Social Dig, which is the logo you see up here in the back. And the whole motto of this channel is for the positive progression of humanity. Anything we do on this channel has to be something that moves the needle in a positive direction for humanity. As I'm doing that show, I met some friends, Tim Senor, who was at the time working with Dave Scott. He got Dave Scott's ear. Dave Scott watched some of my content, really was liking the format and what I was doing, and then offered me position over at Spaced Out Radio. I said sure. He was like, I just want you to do you. What the same thing you're doing is what I want you to do over here. And I was like, that's easy. I can do that all day.
Mhm.
And so that's what we have now. Spaced Out Radio After Hours. I kind of took it, reformatted it, reformulated it into a show that reflects the mission that I'm on. And that's kind of why we're here today.
Now, had you always been a person to follow signs like that?
You know, no. It wasn't until probably, well, you have stages in your life as a man. You know, you find out it's a running joke that women have with men that they don't reach maturity until a certain age, which is usually a older age than a woman would reach maturity mentally, right?
Mhm.
So I kind of saw those things come true, where I was 25 years old, and then things changed for me as far as my outlook on people and how people should be treated, and these things were happening like clockwork. Um, you know, women's intuition was another thing that I used to deny as a younger adult, and would come to find out in so many ways that it was real. And so, yeah, so I'm starting to see those things. And even though I couldn't admit it to myself in my younger days, as I got older, I came to terms that, hey, there's some things that are happening in this world that we don't really understand. And that goes back. And so now I'm a guy that says, trust your gut,
Mhm.
right? Like go with your gut, because it's one of the senses that we have that's really a primitive sense that helps us navigate through this world, and it is something that we should be listening to. So now more the second half of my life, more so I've been more on that. Yeah, listen to your gut.
From your story, though, what I picked up on just from listening to you tell it, you kind of hit that point where, like, I know I need to do something. I don't know what it is. Jesus, take the wheel. Right. So you put it out there to the universe, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, whoever you are, whatever you want to call it. You said, I'm open to receive whatever you want to send to me. And that sent something. And they were like, okay, you want it? We'll send you one thing. And when you jumped on that, okay, we sent you that. We'll send you another one. So I think some of it snowballed because you were open to receiving it. You opened yourself up that way.
Yeah, I could agree with that. That makes total sense. And you look around and you wonder why, you'll look at a person and say, wow, that's a lucky person. That person goes to the casino, wins every time. I go, I can't win anything. And it is about opening yourself up on some level to just understanding that there is something bigger than you that controls this, and it's whatever you want to call it. There's a million names you could call it, but yeah, it's exactly that. I think, yeah, opening myself up because I never experienced consecutive what we'll call blessings happening in my life, and it was scary is what I'll
Yeah,
say.
yeah. One thing I've always heard when people talk about manifesting and things like that, but even with that, one, you've got to be open to receive whatever it is you're manifesting. But usually you've got to meet source, spirit, God halfway. You can't just say, you know what, I want to, I want to, I want to start a business. And you just keep thinking about that. That's not going to do. You've got to start making steps to do that, to start progressing yourself to
Yep.
get to those doors. The doors open
Yep.
when you're seen as trying to move the ball forward. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. True. And not being selfish and not being selfless and putting ego aside. And I think that's another thing that helped out too, because when I look around this space currently, you have a lot of people who are getting recognition, being acknowledged, and it's simple as hopping online to get that. And a lot of people, it's a drug,
Mhm.
and some people feed on uh being, getting the accolades and the admiration, um and then lose focus of what the purpose is or what the actual mission is. And luckily for me, in my early life, I was a musician. I was signed to a record label. I've been out on tours and I've experienced the whole ego thing. So like for me, that's another beautiful thing is that ego doesn't play into anything that I'm
Mm,
doing currently. Nothing. And I think that's another big key in getting those things, manifesting those things that you want is being selfless in your approach to what you're doing. And I know a lot of my viewers over on my channel and some that have gotten to know me on Space Out Radio totally know that that's my mission. No embellishment, just the straight, raw, real person that's really trying to figure this out with everyone.
So do you feel like you're become more open, like spiritually, since you've gone through this metamorphosis?
I would say yes, but here's the thing, and this is not what I say as being a host of a show, and especially in the moment that we're in, which is so important for humanity. As a host, I think you have to come in unbiased. You have to be able to stay middle of the road because you listen to so many stories that if you do not recalibrate yourself, you may find yourself swayed one way or the
Hmm.
other. And I really feel like it's the duty of show hosts to stay in that realm to be the most beneficial host for your audience,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They don't want to be swayed one way. They want you should want critical thinkers, people who can think for themselves and come to their own conclusions and not have to depend on this person who's on this podium to guide them or tell them one way or the other. And I think that's the power of human connection. And what I think really this what we're doing in this field, I think, is all about that. And it has to be about human engagement and human protection.
Yeah, you've really got to be careful these days, because people will take things, I'll say the wrong way, but that they will take things in a way that may not be beneficial to them sometimes.
And it really,
Yeah, you have. But yeah,
okay,
go
well,
ahead,
it's kind
Roger.
of like what you said. You've gotta. It feeds into that ego when you're doing this kind of work. You've got to set your own beliefs and your own agendas and your own things to the side and realize that you're here for your guest and to give them the platform, not
Yeah.
to speak your truth, right?
Yeah.
Right. And not only that, but you are also here for and everyone. The thing that we're doing here and what we're working on, it may not present itself within our lifetime. So technically, we're doing this for our descendants and people down the line. This is most likely not even for our own benefit.
That's true.
That's true. I never think about like that. I've always thought like when we do the show, it's to get our guests' message out there, and we're just here to ask the questions and see where the show goes and just have a conversation with the person like we're having right now. But like when we have teams coming on the show, we're here to help them get the word out about their team and what they've done in the paranormal and teach people at the same time. But it's also good for people to do their own research and not just take our word for it, our guest's word for it.
Yeah, and then just figure out, because as far as this goes, everyone has a part to play. Figure out what you can do to kind of fill in a gap. I tell people all the time, people watch from home. You don't have to be a host of a show. You don't have to start your own podcast. You don't have to necessarily know everything there is to know about one particular thing. There's something on a way smaller level that you might be able to do to kind of help the overall mission. And that's kind of what it is just awakening, enlightening. And I'm as shocked and amazed at a lot of the things that I hear from my viewers, more so than someone that's been out there researching in the field. And I always paint the narrative that everyone's opinion counts, everyone's experience counts. And it's once we have gathered enough data, historical data, which we have a lot at this point, then that's what we need. We need that sort of pipeline, because your story adds to the overall story, and it might be the one piece that somebody else was missing, to kind of complete their story. But then it may just like I was saying earlier, this may not even though we're collecting all this data, we're telling our experiences, this stuff still may not come to fruition for the next 100, 200 years. This could be and likely is probably, I hope it happens in our lifetime. We get answers to some of the things we're working on, but then I'm also open to that not being the case.
So do you think we're going through an awakening right now, in your opinion?
It feels like it. It feels like it. And it I think the phenomena covers all aspects of the things that aren't normal. Because Lou Elizondo pointed out, paranormal just means things that we haven't labeled as normal yet. Essentially, is paraphrasing. And when he said that, I'm kind of looking around like, yeah, I mean, you're right. Everything could be considered paranormal. So I think as long as we keep doing the work selflessly, then you're doing your job. And that's essentially all you need to worry about. Capture data if you can, because you should be bringing receipts to the table if you can bring them to help further the movement. And then once again, just being selfless and open with that data. If we had that, If everybody thought like that, we'd probably be a lot further in understanding what it is that we're dealing with.
That's true. Sometimes human nature takes over, though, unfortunately, and it doesn't always work that way. But it would be great if it did.
We can hope, and it's just about being the leaders. If you've been blessed enough to be put in a position to have a group of individuals to speak to, just make sure that you are doing your best to keep the ship straight. You know what I mean? And that's about all you can do, and not over promise, right? Set expectations. That, hey, I don't know everything, and you don't know, none of us knows everything. We're here to learn together. Every step we take is us learning together. I may hear something from someone in chat that I didn't never thought of. I never thought of that. And that's the whole purpose of why we get together and have these
Right.
conversations.
These whole platforms are the fact that you can bring people, as we have in the chat here, from all over the world and get different perspectives on things that may just change how you look at something you thought you believed.
Oh yeah. If you think about it, we sit in school and we're told how things are, or this is how it is as far as we know at the moment. And I always point out science books change and get revised every 20 years. Things that, when I went to school, there were 9 planets in the solar system. Now there's 8. 1995, they didn't know that there were other galaxies out there, other planets. They didn't have proof of that until 95. And then I think 2012 they started realizing that there's all these other galaxies out there. We're talking about in recent time here they figured this stuff out. They have to rewrite those science books again. So I like science as more of a tool to use, but I think I always tell everyone that I talk to that I think what we really should be doing, like academia, I don't think supersedes your God-given common sense and logic. I think those senses are the things that we're supposed to be using to figure out a lot of the issues that you run up against in life. It only makes sense.
Do you think people rely too much on government and what they're taught in school?
I do. I think I call that, it's like a mommy daddy syndrome, and it's weird. It's because there are some individuals that will only take some information into consideration if it's given by some authority figure. And I don't understand it. It's but that's how you've been enlightened or awakened at some point, because now you're on the outside of society looking in, and you can see the whole, the wizard behind the curtain. You can see it, you've seen it. So we know, and it's just really our job. And that's why when I look back, like on the Matrix, just the premise of that is exactly what it is, unplugging. And that's kind of what we're doing when we do these shows, is we are unplugging people from the Matrix and giving them an opportunity to see things from the outside, which is where we should be from birth. And I always look forward to the generation that we get, which maybe it'll be 1, 2, 3 generations from now, that'll be born awakened, right? They won't have to go through the society that has been set up, and then at 30 or 40 have this awakening moment where now they have the last 20, 30 years of their life to kind of redirect where humanity goes, or to do whatever they can to try to affect the change. You'll have generations of children or human beings, period, that'll be that enlightened from birth and have their entire lives to kind of manifest or figure out the future direction of humanity.
It's funny. Like, I was thinking, my son, RJ, he knows about, all this stuff that we're talking about. I take him to the cabin and stuff like that. So he's growing up in a world where it is more normal than it was when I was growing up. Like I was trying to think of how I would react if my dad was a paranormal investigator. It just wasn't a thing back in the 80s. I mean, I guess it was a thing, but not as it is now. And I think as we go farther along, it's just going to be more and more of a normal thing to talk about ghosts, to look up at the sky and look for UFOs. Where before it was kind of like, it was kind of taboo in a way to do that. But I think with what we're doing now with social media and the shows and giving people a safe place to talk about this kind of stuff is really cool. And I think a lot of times people are like, they rely too much on the government telling them that something is real or not. And I don't think it matters if we get disclosure or not from the government, because it doesn't, if the government says it's true or not, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist,
Right. And if you look at it, they would love to keep people distracted with the whole look over here. They've done it for the last 80 years. And what do you think is going to change? What benefit is it to them for them to say anything else than what they've been saying this entire time? I don't think there is one. Not for them.
No. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense for them to give us any more information than they already have.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, for the most part, it's I feel like it's more of them not wanting to, go away from the status quo, to break up this societal bubble, essentially, that we're all living in. Because here's the thing, and I don't know, the people may feel differently about that, but it feels like, they want to keep our knowledge of who we are suppressed. And it's sad, because if that's the case, then even though we are in the United States of America, if you are a citizen, we're supposed to be the best country, the best place that you could possibly be on earth is supposedly here. But then if you look at the way the government is looking at their citizens, saying, hey, we don't want them to know who they truly are, that's a crime against humanity for me. And I see a lot of that happening within our government, and I'm like, those are things we should be calling out. But you have so many people; they keep us separated so well that we get so distracted by the smallest thing or the new news cycle that we'll never have a moment to really stop and think together as a unit. I think and I've said this before, and I won't say the name, but during the plague that we had a few years back, that was a moment where the world was able to humanity at one time and focus and realize what it was we were doing. And what you saw from that is you saw a lot of people quit their jobs. A lot of people, once they saw that you could actually work from home, and it's like, why haven't we been doing this the entire time?
Yeah.
Why does society say we have to go to this building when it's obvious we can sit here and do it from home? So you had a lot of people leaving the job market, kind of seeing society for what it was. And I got into this in ufology after that was over. So I thought to myself, I was like, wow, when will we ever have a moment like that where the world can sit at one time, realize what we're dealing with, and focus to try to figure out if this is really what we want to do? And I'm like, because the last time that happened, a lot of people said, no, I don't want to do this. And so when we look at it now, we had, I thought that we would probably never see anything like that again. And then we had this drone situation that happened in New Jersey, December through, it's technically still happening, but for at least 2 strong months, every single day, drones in the sky, No one can explain where they're coming from. No government at all is claiming these things. And it was the one moment where people stopped looking, stepped out of that bubble and started asking questions. People who had never asked questions before. And so it was another one of those moments in humanity's history where everyone was able to focus on this one thing. And I think, the government kind of got let off the hook, by it falling within the holidays for one, and then being that we had a transition of our government happening at the same time. I think it's sad, and it. That's how you know you're really in it for the right reasons is when it affects you
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, and that's kind of what this does. Sometimes it gets so heavy because I care so much about if we get to make that next step, in the right direction. And then when we have things that go against that, it affects me emotionally and it's a drain. So that's another byproduct of being in this field as well. If you're in it for the right reasons, you felt that before and you know exactly what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. That's
It's
interesting. I never really thought about what you said about, that plague, but it really was. And it's kind of when some of the spiritual awakening, like you were like in the last 5 years, everything is opening up. And I even think on a scientific level, you said something that triggered this just random thought in my head. So I'm going to spit it out. But it's even to believe, because even in the paranormal, we do base some things off science, or we try to debunk what we're finding and things of that nature, and we depend on science. When we were in school, were taught like scientists state a hypothesis, right? They have a theory and they work to prove or disprove that theory. But now I look at that and I'm like, but how many people are going back and checking that? Because what's changed? What dynamics have changed? Because we used to think that was the end all be all, and it's not. And now you see some instances where when somebody gets new evidence to prove something big like that hypothesis incorrect, that they proved correct at one point, it's a big argument.
mm-hmm.
Rather than looking at we've just got different facts now. So it's kind of
And
interesting.
and then another part of that is that it clearly shows that what we know about the phenomena from experiencers, from talking to experiencers and having our own experiences, we know science is wrong on some of the stuff, or we know that their perspective that they have to shift their perspective on some of the things because we see the things happening. We know for sure that there are things being encountered in the woods. We know that there are things coming from space and hanging out in the sky. We have reports of craft landing and beings getting out of those things in front of a group of school kids multiple times. So it's like that's why I say science. I look at science more as a tool. I think it's needed. I appreciate it being
Mm-hmm.
there because it gives us a place where we can sit down and use critical thinking and run these hypotheses and theories to maybe come out with an answer. So that's why I can appreciate it.
What do you think it's going to take to get people on the same page?
Ooh, that's in this new day and age, what I think the only it's going to have to be another one of those pause moments, whether it's something we can control ourselves or something that just happens. We have to take advantage of a moment where we are all able to listen. Just like when we supposedly landed on the moon, the world was captivated. The world sat back and watched. So one of those moments where we have the world's attention and we're able to deliver this message. So it's gonna have to happen that way, or the other ways I've thought about is connect, and actually I'm starting to see this more, which is good. But social media influencers who have hundreds of millions of subscribers, like that is a very quick way to get a large group of people's attention at once to deliver a message. Now that can go either way because government tools can obviously use those same influencers to disseminate propaganda, and I'm sure that's being done on some level too. But the only way to get everyone's attention is going to be some meeting place where a lot of people get together, which is going to be through a social media influencer, or if some sort of event happens that makes everyone stop and pause, then we have to take that window and utilize it for the good of it. And that's what I said about the drone thing here, is that even if at the end of the day those turned out to be all man-made drones, we still had that moment in time to kind of do the bait and switch and at least talk about some of the things that are very important to humanity while we had everyone's attention. And I just think we have to, when next time we have one of those moments, we just have to take full advantage of it and get the appropriate message out there.
It's just hard when the government and society labels people like us as crackpots, and it's gotten better because of, again, social media and being able to come together through these platforms and stuff like that. But it's tough and I think unless we have more of an understanding from people, it's tough to all get on the same page, especially when you live in a society where you read a meme on Facebook and people believe what the meme says, even though it doesn't make any sense at all. It's tough. It's great at this one area coming together, but at the same time, it's bad because it's all this information coming at you at the same time, and you really can't keep track of what's real and what's fake anymore. Like TikTok videos or even like websites and stuff. It's just a lot to handle,
That's where we have to self-police, because I agree. I hate the fact that the community is looked at in that way, and you have to ask yourself, okay, how do you change that? How do you change the view of the people on the outside? And not only because people on the outside could be skeptics who just say none of this is real, period. It just isn't possible for this to be real. Then you have people who just never paid attention to the subject. And actually, some of those people are starting to come around and kind of dip their toe in and kind of, they see the News Nation report, they see the 60 Minutes report, they hop on YouTube, they want to dip their toe in the water, and they get confronted with a lot of stories or things that may be over embellishment. And I think that's part of the problem. Like, the reason why our community is looked at in that way is because we do have a portion of the community that is simply making things up. And that's a detriment to the actual experiencers and the actual researchers, the people. And that's how you can tell where someone falls is what is your mission? What are you trying to do with this? Are you just here to tell stories? Are you here to just listen to stories, or are you here to try to get answers and try to get to where we move the needle? That's kind of how you're able to separate who's doing this for ego and for clicks and for views versus who really is perplexed by what's going on and what they experienced and who's really trying to get answers. We have to kind of, call those people out. And I can't think of a better term to use, but we have to be critical of we have to vet all of our data. For one, take it in. I take everyone's information in. Let's vet it though. Let's not take it to the bank immediately. Let's not throw it away immediately. Let's put it on the table. Let's vet it. Let's get to a point to where we can now either keep the information or toss it out as unfounded. And I think that's, we have to be comfortable with doing that, because what I find in the community is sometimes people can be offended by hearing that. Well, if you're offended by that, then maybe you're on the side that is doing the over embellishing, because if you're open-minded and you're coming into this trying to get answers, then you should be open to all of this. You should be open. You should want this community to be more respected and looked at in a better light and taken more seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. I mean, I think a lot of times people are there. You find probably a lot more people are in it for clickbait or clicks, and very like a small amount of people like us are in it for the right reasons, unfortunately. But you know, it does get the eyes on the topic, which is a good thing, I guess. You know, I really appreciate you coming on the show with us tonight, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
And we will
anytime.
We will definitely have you back on. We'll talk to you about maybe coming on doing the playlist with us.
Yep. Just hit me up. Let me know. I'm totally open. And you know, I gotta have you guys back. Rhonda's been on the show before. You've been on as well, Ryan. You've been on as well. Okay, yeah. Yes, Cabin 360. That's right. Yes. So I got to get all you guys back. We got to figure something out. But like I said, you know, I like keeping myself surrounded by people that have a goal here. Like you know, people who want to make, you know, to bring this to the forefront. Because as I say, many times I go in the woods. Sometimes I would want to know that there's Sasquatch out there, that I should be aware of that, and amongst other things. So, you know, anything I can do to help support, definitely let me know, and I'm willing to step in and do anything. Yeah.
We'll definitely have you back on. We'll talk more about as far as actual aliens and UFOs and stuff like that, which you didn't really get a chance to talk about tonight. But that just gives us an excuse to have you back on.
That's right.
In the future. So you let people know how they can either get in touch with you or see what you're up to.
Definitely. You can catch me over on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, Saturdays and Sundays from 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Pacific. You can also catch me on my personal channel, which is youtube.com/@Mr. Rob G, same way it shows on the screen. I run like 2 or 3 or 4 shows over there. We do call-in shows. We have experiencers come on, tell their stories. So it's a lot of stuff, a lot of fun. So just come check me out, both of those places. If you wouldn't mind, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We definitely appreciate it.
That's awesome, guys. Yeah, definitely go check his channels out. Give him a like and subscribe. And check out Spaced Out Radio. I heard Dave Scott on, I think, Darkness Radio or it was Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader, and he was on his show, and I went over and listened to his show, man. I got hooked. Now, I mean, was never really into aliens or UFOs or any of that. But once I started listening to him, man, I've gotten, you know, full force into it. I look up at the sky all the time to see if I can see something. And I'm doing CE5 at the cabin. I'm all into it, man. So I'm super excited to have you back on to talk about all that stuff in the future.
Yep. Let me know. I'm totally open.
All right, man. We'll appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
No problem. Talk to you both soon, Rhonda. You take care.
Bye.
Later.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
That was cool. And it was cool to understand, to hear more of his backstory. So as he's had us on, I will go up on the record of saying he's one of the best interviewers I've ever seen. When he has his guests on, he has some really thought-provoking questions.
He had some questions I wasn't ready for.
Yeah, me too. But then afterwards, it really
my brain.
Yeah.
Tonight, plus, you know, it's at 11 o'clock my time, so I'm already pretty tired to begin with. But man, yeah, he's great. He has very thought-provoking questions.
Things when I left, I was actually asking my thing. It's like, what do I really think about this? And kind of diving in a little bit, which is exactly what I should be doing after one of these shows, right?
Yeah, I mean, for our show tonight, you know, I wasn't planning on just talking about this stuff. You know, I was planning going more into UFOs and stuff like that. But it's cool how we just go where the conversation takes us.
Yes.
And I think this is a good introductory podcast to I was in full. I mean, Teresa, no need to apologize. You're in a full moon meditation.
No worries about that.
Mediation meditation. I'm not sure.
Both.
I might meditation or mediation. Either way, you don't need to apologize for that for sure.
But we definitely go wherever the conversation takes us. And much like Jeannie said in her comment at the beginning of the show, everything aligns. So I feel like whatever we discussed tonight was what needed to be discussed.
It's funny. When Rob mentioned about the Matrix, when I made this TikTok video for like advertising the show, and I actually chose this clip of the Matrix.
Of course you did.
And it was just weird how I was like, I'll just use this because I thought it was cool the way it aligned with the video I'd made. So I thought that was funny that I randomly picked this like Matrix sound from TikTok. I'll send it to you. But
I really liked the way when he explained it like that. I was like, oh, that really makes that like my this light bulb moment. Yeah,
you really got to unplug yourself from the government, from I want to say society, but open your mind up more. You've really got to unplug and see things from a different perspective than what you've been taught.
Yeah,
open the box up.
Yeah, for sure, and not be stuck, even when you think you've discovered your truth or your agreement or your understanding of a topic. When you think, okay, this is what I think of that, because I've taken bits and pieces of all these people I've listened to, and this is where I'm at with it. Still keep your mind open enough to know that you might hear something that totally wipes everything you thought off the map, and you're starting back to square one, and be open to that.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but shit changes,
Yep.
Life is about change. So
yeah.
I am excited because next week we're talking to John Savage from Savage Paranormal on the show. That's going to be fun. And then a week after that, guys, guess who's back on the show with us?
I know.
We're going to have some tarot card readings with Dana Marie Volmer.
Get ready.
That is going to be awesome. So you have 2 weeks of awesome shows coming up for you on the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show. My voice held out, but it's starting to go a little bit. Here,
I'm starting to fade myself. I'm starting to fade myself a little bit here.
Have these awesome conversations, man. It's tough to stop. But
that's the thing. Because our show is later in the evening. Like sometimes I have a hard time shutting my brain off after the show because I'm thinking about things.
Cabin Con is not until the end of the month.
So we've got 2 really cool guests, and then I'm sure we have a cool guest the Tuesday after Cabin Con. So we'll be able to give the lowdown.
Yeah, we will give the Cabin Con update. I'm sure if you're follow us on Facebook, we'll have plenty of pictures.
Yeah, we'll have pictures, and maybe we could try to go live at some point.
Oh, I'm going to go live if I can. I don't know if I even can go live. I might go live on TikTok.
Yeah, we could go live on TikTok.
I'll go live on TikTok. I can do that, but for some reason, Facebook won't let me go live on the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show page or my own Facebook page, and I don't know why. And they say I violated something like I went live too often or something like that, but I only go live once a week, and that's on these shows. I don't know what too often means to Facebook, but I looked at my profile and that I was in good standing and all that, but they were like, it may take a month, it may take a few months. I don't know. So that's why we don't show up on the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show Facebook page anymore, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anywho, next week, John Savage Paranormal, same freaking awesome time.
Freaking awesome show.
We will see you later, Ali.
Gator.
Gator.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.